Okay, my name's Michael from Floorworks. This video is in regards to the problems I had with Watercoat from Urethane Coatings. This is not slander, this is not defamation, this is just an experience. The reason I'm doing this video is because there's been a few people that have said they would be reluctant to sell me stuff because of the way I've been acting about this problem. Now, I don't think that's fair because I don't know the full story for one. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to give you the full story, give you a rundown of what happened, just so that you understand why I'm so annoyed and have been so annoyed for so long. So from the start, I've used Urethane Coatings water-based Purethane 2-pack for a long time. Did a lot of jobs with it with great success. Did a lot of big jobs with it too with good success. Did my own house with it with Purethane 2-pack and also their Purethane sealer. I really liked it. I recommended it to a lot of floor sanders. I showed them pictures and yeah, I recommended it a fair bit. And that was all I used. I was a very dedicated Urethane Coatings customer. That's all I'd use, including their solvent base, water base, everything. Wouldn't use anything else. So got this big job. 230 square meters. He didn't want a yellow, so I showed him pictures of my floor and he loved it. So he said, yep, I want to do exactly the same as that. So I recommended Urethane Coatings Purethane 2-pack. Went ahead. We did the job. Did quite come up really well. Did 3 coats. First coat sealer, 2 coats of 2-pack Purethane. And the job went really well. The customer paid me when I'd finished the job. It was a couple of days later. He came to my own house, paid me. At that stage, he questioned one thing, which was a few low spots on some of the ends of the boards. He's a painter. He laid the floor himself, and when he put the floor in, some of the butt joints had very low spots from where they'd gone through the thicknesser, and the ends had rounded off quite a lot. Sometimes some of them about 5 mil. So I had to sand those out. Of course, you can't take the whole floor down to those levels, so some of those low spots I had to actually smooth off, which in the end product, in a big room with a big window behind it, you could actually see that was a little bit of a low spot. Now, when he was paying me and questioning those, he said, "Do you think if we put a thicker coat on, it would have filled those spots?" I said, "No, I've put it on as thick as I possibly can." And you know, there's no way you could fill that sort of low spot with a coating anyway. That's just not how it works. He accepted that and he was like, yeah, no worries, thanks for the job. A couple of days later, he gives me a call. He goes, I've just found have a look at these bottles I've found in the skip, and it recommends that it's applied at the rate of 10 square meters per litre. He said, I've counted the bottles that you've used and I don't think you've used that much. I said, no, I don't. I don't put it on that thick, especially the last coat, because if I do it at that thick, you run into problems such as orange peel and stop marks. Now, I've experienced this in the past. Like I said, I've used Urethane Coatings Purethane for years and had worked out a method to not get any problems like that. So I'd eliminated those problems by doing the final coat just slightly thinner, which worked really well. Now, I told him if I had to put it on any thicker, they're the problems I would have run into. He said he accepted that. He's like, oh, all right, no worries. And he said, I was just wondering, if you had to put it thicker, would it fill those low spots? And I said, no, again. Anyway, a few days later, he calls me back. He said, I've just spoken to the manufacturer, and they have told me that you've put it on too thin. And I said to him, hang on, no, I haven't put it on too thin. I've put it on at the thickness that works. So straight away, I rang the manufacturer and said, what the hell? Why have you said that I've put it on too thin? Now, the information that the customer gave me about microns and things was the same information that I got from Urethane Coatings, and they told me that they can't guarantee their product unless it's put on at that thickness. So I talked to the Urethane Coatings and said, okay, if I put it on at that thickness, I'm going to run into these problems. And he said, no, you're not. It's tried and tested at that thickness, and that's what we recommend. That's why we recommend it. So I said, all right, well, fair enough, no worries. Anyway, went back to the customer. Told the customer, look, that's what the company have recommended, but if I do it at that thickness, you do run into problems. He said, look, I really want you to put another coat on. I'm going to pay you to put another coat on. Will you do it? I said, no. And he said, well, why not? He said, I'll pay. I'm more than happy to pay. I said, well, it's not going to fix the low spots that you're worried about. That you'd have to pull the boards out and put new boards in to do that. He's like, all right, well, I really want another coat. Blah blah blah. The customer said the manufacturer said they can't guarantee the product unless it goes on at that thickness. So I'll pay you to put another coat on and we'll just do it. I said, all right. I end up accepting. I end up saying, yep, no worries, let's do it. So I sand it back. I called the manufacturer and said, look, I'm going to put another coat on, but if I do it at that thickness, can you guarantee there's not going to be any problems? And he said, look, that's what we've tried and tested it at. So that's what we find works for it. So I said, all right then, what roller do you recommend? He said 10mm nap. I said, which one? He said, any 10mm nap. So I just used the standard 10mm nap that I normally use, which was a Unipro or something or other. So sanded the job back, put the coat on. This is fourth coat. Put the fourth coat on, and as I said would happen to the customer, I got major orange peel and stop marks because the coating was just too thick. Too thick for how it works. It just doesn't work like that. And I did say that. I said it to the urethane coatings, and I said it to the customer too. So I rang up urethane coatings and said, look, this is what's happened. I told you this was going to happen. I'm really annoyed that you talked to my customer and told him the information that you did, because if you hadn't have told him that information, the job would have been left as it was because it looked fine and the job was accepted. So he said, oh, sorry about that. I'll look after you, don't worry. You're just going to have to put another coat on. I said, all right, well, if I'm going to have to put another coat on, do I have to do it at the recommended thickness? And he said, no, because this will be your fifth coat. It'll have plenty of coating on the floor for us to be able to guarantee it. So I went back, cut the orange peel off with 120 and put another coat on. Went back the next day, had a look. This is fifth coat, mind you. I went back the next day, had a look, and where I'd cut the orange peel off, you could see sort of a motley look coming through the fifth coat. That was because the orange peel was so bad, I had to cut a fair bit off. So I rang urethane coatings back, told him what had happened. I said, look, put the fifth coat on. I can see where I cut the orange peel off through this fifth coat. I'm really not happy with how this has ended up. I'm going to want every cent back that I've spent on this floor, because I believe I need to sand it right back now. I believe I can't fix it. It's beyond fixing. He said, no, don't worry. It's all right. We'll look after you. Don't stress about it. We've got this new coating out called water coat. Let's put a coat of water coat on it, matte finish. It'll fix your problem. No worries. I said, all right then. Do one more coat. So this is the sixth coat. So I went back, sanded the floor, buffed it back with a 150, as per recommended, and put the water coat on. Now, once I'd put the water coat on, I rang urethane coatings and said, thank you so much. That looks amazing. The coat went on like glass. I actually rang him. I rang him up, thanked him for helping me. Thank him for helping me fix the problem. And I said to him, and I actually said this, I said, if that dries matte, that's going to look amazing. So we let it dry, went back the next day. It had dried high gloss. There were other matting agent problems. There was one spot that looked like a run on the edge that wasn't actually a run. If you felt it was dead flat. But the matting agent had sort of run inside the coating. There were other spots on the floor that had like wispy matting agent problems. And yeah, high gloss. So there was high gloss, there was matting agent problems, and there was adhesion problems. Everywhere I test the adhesion, it hadn't stuck to the urethane. It would peel up quite easily. Of course, I rang back straight away and said, no, not happy. I'm really annoyed at this. I want every cent back that I've spent on this floor. And they said, don't worry, we'll look after you. So from then on, the decision was made to sand the whole floor back to raw timber, because 6 coats, you can't put a 7th coat on, that's just stupid. So what once that decision was made, I said to the urethane coatings, I said, I can't use your product on this floor anymore. I don't trust it after all this. So I'm going to use something else. And he said, okay, no worries. They accepted that. Floor was redone with Loba with no problems whatsoever. Floor come up absolutely beautiful. No matting agent problems. No sheen problems. No adhesion problems. So yeah, the Loba worked really, really well. Now, once this was all done and dusted, more conversations went on with urethane coatings. Their final result, without sending any of their workers to anybody from their company, no one from their company came to look at the floor. The only person that looked at the floor was my supplier, who stayed very neutral, which was a good move by him because it was really between me and urethane coatings. His opinion, while he was inspecting it, was that there was something wrong with the coatings, but throughout the whole course stayed very neutral, which is fine by me and something I would have done as well. But urethane coatings, they said no. The problem with our coating was from user error and environmental problems. Now remember, no one come and looked at it from their company, none of their sales reps. The floor was redone with Loba with no problems, no sheen problems, no adhesion problems, no orange peel problems. So if you compare the two, there were no environmental problems that could affect it, and application error. I was very experienced with that product and quite confidently say that I put that product on as best as possibly can be. Now, the reason why I keep this going, this cost me about $3,000 in product. It cost me about 10 days of work. During all this, urethane coatings offered me 3 tins of monothane 45 as compensation. At that, I said to them, well, that's only about $450 of coatings. I said, for one, I don't use monothane 45, but I do use the 2-pack. So if you would like to settle, I'd be happy with 3 kits of 2-pack. So that's 6 drums. Urethane Coatings said, okay, I'll speak to the rest of the team and I'll get back to you and let you know. They called me back and said, no, we've reconsidered your case. We're going to withdraw our offer of 3 tins of 45 and withdraw any offer of any sort of compensation whatsoever, because we believe that it was environmental problem or user error that caused these problems. Now, for one, I can't reconstruct these problems that happened, and there's nothing I can do to get a matte finish to dry high gloss. I can see how they could say adhesion problems can be user error, but the floor was buffed back. I'm not an idiot, I'm an experienced floor sander, and that wasn't the case. The floor was buffed back properly for good adhesion, and there's no way my actions could have caused poor adhesion. Nor could they have caused high gloss, nor could they have caused orange peel if it was done the way that I'd done it. Now, this could have been fixed before the problem. This could have been fixed by Urethane Coatings calling me before talking to my customer, finding out the full story. Urethane Coatings could have told my customer that I've done what I should have, and it would have been the end of story. But no, they insisted on their application method, which I predicted would have problems. For other manufacturers out there, I'm a reasonable fella. I'm not going to bag out products for no reason. I understand everything's imperfect and everything's got their own problems. Nothing's perfect. Nothing will ever be perfect. But yeah, when it comes to having a problem with coatings, I've heard of other companies reimbursing people either with credit. I have even heard other companies reimbursing people with money. Now, that's an honourable thing because they admit fault. They take responsibility for it, and then the customer and the manufacturer can move on. But in this case, where it is clear that there is no environmental problem, there is no user error, it's clear that there was a problem with the coating, they have completely wiped their hands of it. This has gone on for a long time. They have swept me under their rug for a long, long time now, and I won't give up. I'm more than happy to keep talking to them and peacefully trying to sort it out. Like I said, this is not slander. This is not defamation. This is just purely my experience and purely my explanation of what happened so that other manufacturers can see why I keep going on about it. Anyway, that's my story. That is the truth. There is no more to it. Job was done with Loba, very thankfully, because ever since then I've used Loba with zero problems. I have not had one callback with Loba. So being such a reliable coating, I'll continue to use it. Anyway, that's enough from me. Hope I didn't bore the hell out of you all. Enjoy the rest of your day. Put your comments there. If you're going to be an idiot, well, just don't. Anyway, catch you all later. See ya.